Okay, moving on from the pen, let's go, we already talked about the text tool. Let's go over to this next button. It's called the highlighter. It works just like the pen, however, when you use it, let's make it larger so you can see the effect of it. When you use it, you can actually see through the ink that you're putting down. In other words, that's why it's called a highlighter. Alright, the next one is going to be the shape drawer. Well, right now, by default, it's set on rectangle. So if I click on it, I can draw rectangles. Here, let's get this keyboard out of the way. So basically, it's going to draw rectangles. If I click and hold, it does other things. It'll do lines with an arrow end, line with the arrow at the start, and a line with arrow at both ends. It'll do ellipses, triangles, right triangles, 5-pointed stars, hexagons, and pentagons. The last one, shape recognition, will allow you to hand or free draw a shape, and it will actually make it nice for you. So if I click on that one, let's say I do a triangle, notice it's real bumpy, and when I let go, oh look, it made it a nice triangle. If I do a rectangle, it's going to turn into a rectangle. If I do a star, it will even straighten out the star nice and neat for me. Okay, so that's what that does. Alright, the next one that looks like an eraser is exactly what it is. It's an eraser. And you can choose the size of how much do you erase. If you want to erase a lot at one time, you just pick it as big as you can, and it will erase all the stuff that you've drawn, hand-drawn. It won't erase the shapes. To erase the shapes, you want to use the selection tool. Click on them, and hit delete. You can select it, delete, select, delete. Okay, so I'm going to leave the next few shapes up here for this next demonstration. Alright, so I'm going to go and skip to this object fill. I'm going to skip this one right here, and skip that one and go all the way to the object fill. Okay, so notice I have this orange color chosen down here. If I use the object fill, it's the paint bucket. Those of you who have ever used Windows Draw or anything like that, if you click inside the shapes, that's basically how you can do it. Alright, so let me go backwards. Alright, the next one, actually let's jump to this one. If I click insert, it can ask me to insert a file. So if I go to it and I go to where a file folder, and let's say I wanted to put in a picture, we go in here, and I wanted to put this in there, it's going to put that picture in there. Now when you are on items, let me explain this too. You have the red box that will change the size of them, okay? You can move it around, and then there's this little green one right here. This will allow you to rotate the picture, okay? So that's how those little buttons work. Once again, if you want to get rid of it, we're on the selection tool right now. We've got this item. We can delete it. All right, let's go back to this one. This is the color picker. So if I take my color picker and I go right here, you see the little circle? It's choosing that one right there. If I pick it, if you look, I've just selected that color. All right, let's go back to the color picker. Go up here, say I want that gray. Notice it's the gray. Okay? You can change the size of what you're color picking. So let's go back to it and click in that area. Let's go back to the color picker again. And it's the end of the little pens. Okay? So if I'm floating my end of the little pen, it's not the circle, it's the end of the little dropper that'll select it. So if I'm on blue, notice my little circle's filled with blue. If I'm on the file folder, it's that gray. If I go down, it's a little different color. Go right there. It's going to go through every little color, and it gets very specific about it. So if I'm floating over the little red line there, click it, I've now chose red. That's what that button does. Alright, so we've gone over all these buttons up here. These are the colors that you've selected. If you want more colors, you can also click on that little button and do custom colors. Alright, transparency. That's if basically it's going to turn your pen into a highlighter is really what it's going to do. Right now it's set at 0%, so your line's going to be solid. If I go to 50% and go, let's say, pick black, and I go over it, let's make it a larger. It's more like a highlighter. So it's a little crossover, and you can basically decide how dark you want your highlighter to be. If I go to green, same thing. If I want to change the transparency of it, it's even lighter now. Okay, that's how that works. Alright, this one right here is going to be telling which kind of line that you draw. So if I do dashes and I draw it, let's change the, and I were to draw a line using the line shape. And I have that solid. Let's change it to dash. It's going to be making dashed lines. Alright? This one right here is the gallery browser. We'll get to that in just a second. This one right here is your applications. It's just like pressing the launch button on your, or the little tool button that's on your bar. You have to reveal the spotlight, the text tools, some of these that you can't have or can't use because we don't have them. The other more tools, calculator, a web browser. Of course, you can use any of those. Let's go to this button right here. This is right click. If you look at the little picture, it's showing a mouse, and that little right button is clicked, or is red. If I were to, let's minimize this, choose right click, and I use my Mimio pen to select, say, this button, it's like I right clicked on that button. And let's bring it back. Exit. It's supposed to right click on it. Alright, and that's supposed to be the regular one. For some reason it's not doing it on here, but that's the right click button. This is the interactive mode. Now I'm going to show you that in just 1 second. And this one is screen annotation. If I press it, it's a lot like the interactive mode. It's going to go straight to my pen. I can go straight to my pen and I can draw. Let's do a brighter color so you can make it larger so you can actually see. Oh, anyone know why it's all clear? Because I still have my transparency changed. I'm going to change it to solid. So now I have solid lines. So I can write all over. I can open up a document. Kids can write on it. Kids can manipulate it. If you have a document open where you have to circle things or underline things, this is what you're going to use. All right, it's a lot like this button right here. Okay, the interactive button, if I have it on, I'm going to go back to, let's go back to this gallery browser. I pull it up. It's going to pull up my Mimio Studio Gallery, which has a whole bunch of stuff in it that I can use. Alright, say I wanted to go over coins, I can drag these items out and use them. But I have to be in the interactive mode to do it. If I remove interactive mode and go back to the mouse mode, okay, all those items disappear. If I go to these and drag them out, it's not going to let me drag them out. Now, this annotation button, screen annotation, here, let's close this out of the way. The screen annotation button will allow me to write on the board, and it's going to go ahead and capture it for me. Alright, so let's bring up the gallery again real quick. Alright, I'm going to go to exit out of that. Okay, where it says screen annotations, I drop it down. See, these are the things that, if I bring it up, these are the items that I used as I was going through. It will capture and keep the things that I did on the board, okay, when I press that button. Okay, any questions about those? Or any of the things within Mimio? Basically, those are your Mimio basics, and let me get out of all of this. And to go back and make all this erase, I'm going to go back to the mouse mode, and I'm going to close that. Oh. Go back to the mouse mode, and we are back to regular mode again. Those are your basic Mimio basics. There's a few more things I'll go over. I'll have more training on actual Mimio Studio Notebook. That is this software that you see right here. Whenever you go to Mimio Connect, you're going to be using this software with pre-made lessons that are already there, already all set up for you by using stuff in the gallery. You can also download more gallery items and actually use them. I will get into Mimio Studio Notebook at a later training. But after this training now, you should be set up. You should be able to connect your Mimio and be able to use it using a lot of the functions. And the more you use it, the better you'll get at it. Have a great day.